Welcome to another episode of the Carry Trainer Higher Line podcast. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Higher Line podcast. Our friend Scott's trying not to laugh because all of a sudden I went into this guy annoying voice when we were just talking normally a moment ago. That was so stupid. This will be good. So our friend Scott Jedlinski. Yep. Jedlinski. Some guy. It's funny in our small community of people how even some of us like don't know each other, but you know each other. Yeah. And like I'll hear people say names, and it's like, is that how you say the name? Or is that not? And then like, yeah, that's how you say it. And I know how to say it. It's Jedlinski.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. I think the Korean eyes and the Polish last name make people want to pronounce it interestingly.
Your company is Modern Samurai Project.
Yep.
Samurais are Japanese though.
Yeah, that's true. But I was growing up like in the traditional martial arts, which Taekwondo was a part of it, but growing up with the karate stuff, right? Like, some people are like Bruce Lee or Chuck Norris. I'm like, come on, Chuck Norris. Yeah, absolutely. But just being raised on a lot of stuff of the getting exposed to karate early in life, and Musashi and the Book of Five Rings, and just being a big fan of that culture, and just going deeper into that pursuit of perfection, of being in the moment and being in the present. Kind of has guided me through a lot of things. Never quite got to the level that I want to, but the journey's been pretty cool. I dig it. Yep. And then the whole project thing, like, I'll get messages like, so you think you're a modern samurai modern samurai? I was like, no, it's a project.
Right, I'm working towards that attainment of self-mastery.
Exactly.
I get it.
Yep.
I get it. You and I, similar in many ways. Neither of us are super secret soldiers or cops, but both of us teach those people, which is fun. You're out of the East Coast. I'm here in the Central, and your thing these days, people know you because you are teaching appendix red dot pistol work. It's kind of like
sometimes by themselves, sometimes together. So most people know me for the AIWB stuff and mainly the red dot pistol stuff.
I dig it. You Master Class USPSA shooter?
Yep, Master Class USPSA shooter.
From appendix?
No, carry optics.
Okay, carry optics.
And so carry optics is, if you're following the letter of the law, right, so it is an outside, open rig at 3 o'clock.
Got it.
What I do lately, right, is from concealment, right, so I take my carry optics rig, which is also my carry gun and all that stuff, and just carry the normally way I would from appendix, and because of that I have to shoot open. And I'm A class in open.
So because you have a dot on there, it's open, otherwise it'd be limited.
Correct. Correct.
So confusing.
It is confusing. But I'm enjoying it, man, because while everyone else is like at the safe table unstrapping all their crap and everything, right, and I'm like, see you guys. I'm out.
right. That's how I always competed. Years ago, I'd show up to matches with my Glock 19 and inside the waistband. I always carried here. And sweat my garment, and that was the way I always did it. And guys thought it was so stupid. But,
I mean, it depends on what you want out of it, right? Like people ask me, like, well, should I go straight from concealment? I'm like, do what you want to do. But if you're coming in with the expectation to win, and you don't understand the game, you're setting your sights too high. So if you come in with the expectation to want to win, but with your carry gear, take 6 months out. Learn the game so that it's a level playing field, so that you can't make excuses as to why you're not winning. Right. And then if you're still interested in the sport, then switch on over.
I think a lot of people have since we're on the thread of USPSA or even competitive actions shooting, not bullseye shooting.
Right.
I think a lot of dudes they think he's a good shooter, he'd be good at that, and the game part of it is half the game.
Oh, it's more than that, man. It's more.
You know what
than
I mean?
that.
Yeah,
100%,
in a lot of ways it is. But I mean, the shooters, even like a B class shooter, the gun handling skills and that they're way past that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the point I was making. Guys think because they can go to the range and like hit a headshot at 20 yards, they're like, I'd be good at that.
Yeah, or even something a little bit more dynamic, doing a build drill at 7 yards at a standard of 2 to 3 seconds. It's like, yeah, man, cool. You can pull the trigger real fast. You can draw real fast. That is about 10% of what you're going to be doing on a stage. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is just getting used to pressure. It's just these people are watching you, yada, 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 or you're at a classifier and this thing's going on. Your permanent record.
Yeah.
How can you perform? And I think a person who stays in competition or integrates that into their own practice is the type of person that's like looking for the next failure point and is excited to reach it so they can overcome it. Mm-hmm. Plenty of dudes out there, man. They don't want their armor cracked.
Yeah.
And I think they wind up progressing very slowly, if at all, because of that mindset.
The ego.
Yep. Yeah, that's a thing, man. Ego's a thing.
You and I are similar in another sense. We're both total jokesters, and I think I'm probably a lot funnier, but that's good. Yeah. We both like to have fun and joke and bust balls. I've attended one of your courses, which was fun and good information, but you laugh, you joke, and you shoot. And you don't always do 100% perfect because that's life.
That's life.
But I don't know how many classes I've gone to, and I ask students, and I don't make a point to like tell them why, but I'll say, what other classes did you go to? And somewhere in there, did the instructors demo stuff? Did they shoot? And it's amazing how many of them say no.
It's amazing it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's amazing it's a thing.
Yeah.
So with my classes, the overwhelming thing is that where people give me feedback, especially if they're martial artists, especially jiu-jitsu guys, like I run my class like a jiu-jitsu seminar, you know what I mean? And if anybody on that part did a seminar or even did a class without demoing, they would get laughed out of the sport or the art. It's just ridiculous because, they say like, well, this person is a visual learner or this person, they like to read their stuff or their audio. Everybody is a combination of everything, And me personally, I can understand something, but until I see it, right, it doesn't get fully burned in.
I'm that same way too.
Yeah.
You tell me I could read it.
Right.
Yeah.
Just
shut up and show me, will you?
Yeah, or if you show me, guess what? That's the height of performance right there.
Yeah.
Right? If I've never seen it before, whatever you did is the height of performance, right? The first self-defense, tactical, whatever class, that guy, he did a 3-second draw. And I was like, man, I wonder if I could do that someday.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then you just train people with better than you to break those glass ceilings. And I can't talk to you and break your glass ceilings. I have to show you, Besides, who wants to stand on a range teaching a class for a day or two or whatever and not shoot? I just, is your fear of embarrassment so bad that you don't want to shoot? And maybe you should be doing something else.
I have heard some dudes that I respect from their age and background say I'm not there to shoot. Or one guy used to talk about if I don't do perfect, which is inevitable because none of us are perfect, and he was trying to let you understand, hey, I'm telling you something deep here. You and I get that I'm not perfect and that you're not perfect, but the student does it, and then they lose faith in your teaching because you didn't do perfect. Like he had this, he kind of like made it work in his head.
Well, that's that deductive reasoning.
Yeah.
Here's the outcome I'm trying to get to. Let's build the reasoning until you get to it. Right?
Build a bridge of bullshit to get there.
Yeah, I can't tell you. I mean, and even in my own training, right, going to a class. and I've had people tell me this, right? Like, what do people know about my standards? 2 seconds from concealment, right? When I pop off a 205, people come and I go, hey guys, that's it. And me showing you a 199 right now isn't going to add to your learning anymore. The 205 is still impressive. A lot of people come to me as like, man, the fact that you can not do everything perfectly made me feel so much better, and I relaxed a bit.
Sure.
And you were okay with it.
Yeah.
You were okay with it. I'm like, yeah, man. Yeah. But we got to remember, it was still a 205 in the alpha, where I was trying to get sub 2. Now, if my stuff was all over the place. Are you building
a bullshit bridge right now?
What's that?
Is that a bullshit bridge right now?
What's that?
I'm just kidding.
What do you mean?
It's still in the alpha.
It's still in the alpha. Yeah. It's still in the, now, if it was all over the place, right? And I did a 190, and I'm like, oh, that's good enough. Nah, that's part of the equation. That's no bueno.
Well, this is why some instructors have like their top tier, second, third tier metrics.
Yeah.
And you can do too. Like, all right, you don't want to feel bad. You're 3 second. You're a middle of the road guy, but you can work towards the
right.
Yeah, but you just have one set of standards.
No. I have so in the class. I don't know if we didn't go over the standards for the day that you were there, but like, for example, let's take the bill drill, right? I tell people, like, I say a national standard that some agencies out there have, that some well-known instructors have, right? And are they necessarily pushing performance? And that's like, no, this is a standard to where you are very, very serviceable. You can do that. The bill drill, 3 seconds. 3 seconds. The class standard is 2.5. The class standard is 2.5 because we're trying to be better than the national standard.
Sure.
My patch standard is 2, right? If you want even more in depth, go to my website, and it's based on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right? Where you have blue, purple, brown, and then the black belt patch standards, right? So that you can progress and you go through there and see what your skills are on each one. And you've been there before, right? Where you start training, you're like, I'm bored.
Sure.
Right? And I think that's especially, the thing on the interwebs now is shooting everybody else's standards.
Yeah.
Just to keep on pushing, and I think it's great because in a way, it's our own little competition out there. If you can't make it to matches on the weekend or something like that, and you want to see what people from different levels of skill and across the country are doing, shoot these standards. I think that's an awesome thing.
Seeing if I had one of Ben Stager's books down here, they're upstairs in the office, or even stuff like that. One of Ben's books is full of all of those different drills and skill builders. And
Yep. My favorites are Ben's books and Steve Anderson's books.
Yeah.
They will give you a very aggressive baseline on what it takes to be on a national level, or what it looks like and how you can get there, So, yeah, absolutely, man.
I always ask students, what's your goal?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the question the response I usually get to that question is to be better or faster. And this is why standards exist.
Yep.
What's better look like? What's faster?
Right.
Faster than Grandma who's never shot a gun, or faster than Scott?
Yep.
You got to be able to attach something to that.
Sure. Everyone's like, I want to be better, I want to be faster. Like, that's awesome. If you have a 4-second draw, 399 is better. Wow.
Right, or more accurate. What does that mean?
Right, but in the scope of what?
Mm-hmm.
I'll steal a line from Bill Blowers. Is that, look, man, here's the deal. I want to do a 0.1 second draw with a 0.01 split on a 1-inch square at 100 yards.
Yeah.
Until I get there, I'm not going to stop.
Yeah.
Better.
Better.
And it's not so much like if I could do it. It's how did I get there?
Sure.
And what's the technique and epiphanies and practice that I employ to get there? Because if you can just do something and you can't tell me how you did it for my own purposes, it's not that it's not cool. It's cool. But on the other hand, after I get done talking to you, I really don't care. I call that the Magic Johnson syndrome, right? Arguably the top, 5 greatest basketball players ever to live. his coaching career was a shit show.
Was it?
Oh yeah, because he, I'm gonna get all this hate mail from Laker fans now. That's all right. I'm a Bulls fan. Nobody cares. He couldn't teach a guy how to do a fast break and do a no look pass to 6 o'clock to the trailing forward for the dunk, because he could always do it. It was innately in him, but he couldn't pass that information. And that's not saying he didn't work hard to get better, but that basic level of skill that was so long ago, or so beyond his level of skill, he didn't know how to teach it. But you have guys like I love like Steve Kerr, right? Always a role player, right? But he knew how the great guys were great and how to help them be even better. Phil Jackson was like that. Who else was like that? Pat Riley was like that. None of these guys were incredible starters when they played the sport, right? But when they got to coaching is where they took the superstars and took them to the next level.
I've been in classes with guys that are world champions and national champions, state champions in the shooting sports, and I leave like, well, that was dumb. Like, we literally just we shot. Like, I went and shot with this guy, and it, from a lot of the students were just happy to be there. Like, I'm so and so, which is cool, but like, I didn't learn anything, or anything that I learned was don't do that. Meaning, don't show up and put on a class and not have a plan that you can pass on information in a meaningful and thoughtful way. And Right.
We're just going to shoot a bunch and you're going to watch me, right? That's why classes from Ben. But I tell everybody, it's like, look, man, even if you don't compete, go take a class from Ben. You will learn what it takes to push it to the next level. And Ben has a interesting way to look in your soul and say the exact thing that's going to piss you off to get you to perform better, right?
He's talking about Ben Steger.
Yeah. And then on the other hand, you have someone like Tim Herron, right? Same genre, competitive shooting, right? And Tim just, if you let him, I think he would just hug everybody. He's just a great, great guy. And he's the other part of like, dude, you can do this. Here's how you're going to do this. And you're going to get better that way, right? On the other hand, I've been to classes like you were talking about, and all they are supervised drills, and you told me cool stories.
We're not there where that's not fun anymore.
Right. Yeah, it's just not, that's awesome, man, but I didn't get better, and I'm out some ducats here, so.
Donovan and I talk about this a lot because he's at on a path right now, and where he's going to lots of classes and such, and I've done that already. Doesn't make me better than him, but he was off doing his other job, and I was able to go to classes and train with people. And he'll come back and I go, how was it? And I'll be like, it's like, well, you're pretty good. You're pretty good. You're not the best, but you're pretty darn good. You're not going to go to a weekend course and learn some like mind-blowing thing now. Now you might pick up like, somebody's not going to tell you how to put your finger on the trigger. Somebody's not going to tell you how to load your mag.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with that. I also think, and again, this is not me talking, poo-pooing other instructors or anything like that.
This wasn't a poo-poo of instructors. I was talking about where somebody is in their trajectory of learning.
Right, but I think there is a standardized program in firearms instruction these days, and people are afraid to go beyond that, or they don't want to go beyond that because they think they're going to give away their secret sauce. You know what I mean? And so it winds up being the supervised drill thing. Right. And I think that's going to start going away. The story I tell is I got invited to a Friday and Saturday class. So I used to say, man, if I could come away from a class, I trained so much, if I could come away from a class with one thing, it was worth it.
Sure.
Right? So I did that class and I came away with one thing and I was stoked, right? Absolutely stoked. And I think by that time I had been seriously training for maybe about 2 to 3 years. And by seriously training, one class every other month, basically.
That's a lot of training.
Yeah. So it was a Friday, Saturday, and then on Sunday I went to a jiu-jitsu seminar. It was $40 for 4 or 5 hours, taught by a guy who barely spoke English, and my mind was blown. And at that point in time, I had been doing jiu-jitsu collectively for about 11 to 12 years.
Okay.
Right? So then I did, I kind of, like, it didn't compute. It didn't compute that something I've been doing much longer, that I'm much better at, was taught for 5 hours by a guy who had communication issues because he didn't.
And it was super cheap.
It was super cheap, and my mind was blown, right? And I know for a fact there are guys out there in this industry that have a high talent base, and they're just not giving it all. I think we need to get. I think the industry as a whole needs to get over that.
That's an interesting concept. Not to butt in, but that industry, like I tell this, people that listen to this podcast have heard me say this 20 times. And I'm not that old. When I started professional firearms training in the 90s with a guy named Bob Housingay, who was the like counterpart of Masayub's shooting school.
Okay.
You had to, if you weren't a cop, you had to go get a letter from the local police chief, sheriff, or state's attorney stating that you were of good character, et cetera, and then say why you even wanted the training. So all this like whole genre of society that we have didn't exist because concealed carry laws didn't exist. Nobody could carry guns.
Sure.
Like a lot of most of the guys on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook that shoot guns that people look at and say like that's a dude weren't even born, let alone, and those guys don't realize that like that just didn't exist in America. And they're like, well, bullshit, it was a right, Second Amendment. Like, no, it didn't exist.
Right.
But anyway, so like it went from, like I did a class with some guys, and this was like as high speed as it got. And we were going to shoot basically multi-positional shooting. Standing, take a knee, go to your back, shoot through your feet, go sideways, spin around, shoot prone, and then stand back up. And these were all like good shooters, but to go through that took about a half a day where they would hand you your gun once you were on the ground. Hand you your gun. And, you know, like, because it was just like very, going to shoot your feet off. You know, it was very, I get students in about 10 minutes to go through all that.
Right.
And it, to your point, like it was, we don't trust you, you're some weird civilian, which cops are civilians too, to go through that. And now it's, I just had this conversation with somebody. It's like now you start a training company, you create a logo that's got like cool shit on it, and then create a plethora of classes and go set them up, and then make your own drill, and then next thing you know, people are talking about you behind your back online, saying that you're the guy that doesn't give it all. He said it. All I'm doing is,
you know, hey, I did say it, man. If it challenges people, you know, we always challenging students to get better. I think trainers need to challenge themselves to get better. If you've been running the same POI for 5, 6, 7 years and you're successful, God bless you. But if it hasn't evolved as much as people evolve and techniques evolve and equipment evolves, just take a look at it. Just take a look at it, man.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I think it again comes back to the goal. Like a lot of what I do is fairly new people. We do have some folks that are high-level shooters that come to our course that come more for Mickey's silly philosophical stuff, but we get a lot of people that are pretty new that they want to be comfortable and learn to not die in a violent encounter.
Sure.
And so like that's our angle, and this is how we approach it, and the training develops skills that you can replicate under stress, you know, and all that good stuff. And those people are happy to learn that, and they don't care as much about how blazing fast can I go, because right now I don't even know how to properly load my gun. That kind of stuff.
Absolutely. I'll tell you a funny story. Before you and I knew each other, I had stumbled upon one of your videos, probably because of like Facebook algorithms, because we started knowing the same people and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And there was a section on there where you were teaching a class, and it was probably a trigger control or getting rid of anticipation or something like that so they could start shooting straight, and you were telling them to sing a song. You made them sing a song.
Yeah.
Right? In the middle of it, right?
Yeah.
And and funny enough, about 2 weeks after I saw the video, I had a friend going like, "Hey man, look at this dumb shit." Right? And he says that, and I go, "Yeah, I saw that." And he's like, "Well, what do you think about it?" I go, "It's a way. It's a technique. All you're trying to do is clear the mind, so the person just doesn't go, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, here comes the bang, here comes the bang." I go, "I will tell you, man, I know 3 division GMs that when they get to a classifier, internally, in their minds, they sing themselves a song. I can't do that because I feel, uber weird doing it, but I have another technique to blank out my mind. It's just a way to keep the mind off of the stress about what's about to happen. It's a way. It's a technique. I enjoyed it because I'd never thought about that before, right? Will I employ that in my class? I don't think that's me, right? But sometimes just teaching something which works and you have a passion and conviction that works, that's all you need sometimes.
And to your earlier point, and I appreciate that you watched that I think that's one of the, in this business, guys that look at that and go, "That's dumb." Well, it's not dumb, it's because you just wouldn't do it or you don't understand it.
Yeah.
You're, there's guys, the haters I get are either completely ignorant to all things combatives and firearm, or it's a lifelong firearm trainer from the military or police agency. Those are the guys that send me hate mail.
Right.
You know nothing, or you know a lot, but you know a lot of dumb stuff.
Right.
And they'll say, "Well, that I've trained 4,000 police officers and I've never had to have somebody do jumping jacks and sing." I bet you could have done a better job because you just read your checklist and went through it, and that's what you did.
Yep. I mean, and again, I think we was like, there are plenty of ways.
100%.
Right. The guy who says this is the way, you need to hold on, man, and start taking everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Right? So
I've had messages over the years, "You need to call my friend," I'll just say Scott, and apologize. Okay, I'll bite. Why am I apologizing to Scott? Well, you stole his, I saw you do a video on a draw stroke, and you did his draw stroke.
Yeah.
I showed like a basic how to grip a pistol and press it out. Like, that guy's 50. Pistol's been around a long time. But guys get so attached to this stuff too.
Yeah.
So attached to it.
I'm starting to get that. For example, my friend John Correa, active self-protection, right? I am, I know John as well. I'm his shooting coach, his virtual shooting coach, right? So the overlap of things that I say, right? My whole useless frenetic motion and proprioception. It's like, I didn't make up those words. I will tell you right now, man, if I could come up with a shorter word that says the same thing as proprioception, I'd do it, right? But there's only so many ways you can say things. Like, for example, "Hey man, you always know where these parts on your body are regardless." That's longer than proprioception.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he used that word in a video, and people were going after him for stealing my stuff.
And they didn't understand that is a psychological, physiological term that comes out of a medical textbook.
Correct. Yeah, correct. And just the thing is like, he trains with me. That stuff is going to rub off.
Sure.
And he called, we talked about, he's like, "Man, I didn't, I was like, dude, how dare me want to stop what I consider good information that may help someone out there in the world that maybe can't train with me, but it's mine, so they can't have that." Whatever, The thing about the firearms industry or trainers or instructors or whatever, if we do a really good job, we create our own competition.
100%. I don't know how. I mean, there's guys that have trained me that I respect the out of, and a couple of them I would piss on them if they were on fire because of how they acted after I started.
Right.
And it's like, dude, for one, I travel all over. I don't stick in one spot. So And it's an interesting thing, though. That is an interesting dynamic, what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Creating.
Yeah.
Most people don't work like you or I or Donovan or other people that we know that go grind it out, get in their car and drive 12 hours. And
Yeah. I mean, and that being said, you know, I don't want to be, I don't want people to think that it's stuff that needs to be corrected or bettered, blah, blah, blah. I've always said this, in this industry, right, in this pursuit to get better, to protect ourselves, our families, you know, or just, I want to win nationals, or, you know, I want to go to the IPSC Worlds and, you know, win that, blah, blah, blah. The greatest people I have ever met have come from this, right? I don't think that the tops of the people that I met in this industry, you know, for lack of a better term, they don't have a comparison in regular industries, right? Let me tell you something
about what you're saying.
So let me do this, right? So people that I've met, and I won't drop a whole bunch of names, right? You know, well, for example, my friend Jose Gordon, right? Probably my most significant mentor. The fact that, you know, he's the rangerest of rangers, you know, but I would not have met him if not for the firearms industry. That man does not have a comparison in another industry. Okay,
I got you.
Right. So on the other hand, the douchebags in our industry, they're just regular dudes in other, right?
Yeah.
Well, that you know, that guy, all he does is creates buzzwords. He'll do anything to get ahead and make a buck. That's a regular dude in every other industry.
Right.
You
that's
know,
Joe small salesman from...
Yeah, that's normal guy.
Yeah.
That's normal guy. In our industry, he's a scumbag, right? On the other hand, you know, this guy, you know, betrayed his friend, blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, yeah, not my business. In our industry, if that got out, they're done. You know, they're done, right? So I think our ability to police our own is very interesting, right? Sometimes we go overboard with that. Sometimes we go over it. But again, you know, the most important thing I'm saying is like the heights of this market, you know, people that I've met, you know, you, Jim Dexter, Donovan Moore, Les Kiss Martoni, just from this area, Paul Sharp. There is no comparison to these people.
I got what you're saying.
From in other industries.
100%. 100%.
Like I have mentors in the mortgage industry, which is my day job, right? And it's the impact that people have had on me in this industry is not even comparative. It's like, oh, that dude showed me how to work a computer program. You're a great guy. Thanks, man. Oh, wait a minute. When was the last time you saw him? I was like, oh shit, I haven't talked to that dude in 6 years. Meh, whatever.
I get what you're saying.
You know?
Well, you know who Rob Trevino is?
Yep.
And Rob, God bless him, is coming back from a major physical ailment right now, kicking its ass. He made a comment once. He said, fighting, drinking, and training. And like you form bonds. And he didn't just mean go sit around drinking, but you go out and you like, you know, you tie one on like at a party or whatever. You form bonds where even years later, like, hey man, you remember that night we took that train from the Cubs game?
Exactly.
And in this genre of society, it's people, and you get it more than most. People take their resources, their time away from their family to go spend a weekend in a sunny, muddy, whatever, windy, cold spot to shoot guns all day, which is fun, but it's not. It's work.
It's work.
Your hands are raw. You've spent a 2-day class, $1,000, $1,500 to travel, shoot, wear and tear on the vehicle, time off work, whatever, and that's a specific kind of person. So then the kind of person that, like you or others, that connect with those people in a meaningful way, it's like, well, it's a powerful bond. Yeah. It is, and
I'm always amazed at that, and I get it. Don't get me wrong, I get it, right? But the more the word of what you're doing spreads out there, and you know, you got to market. It's just like any other business, and that, right? And then you sort of become like kind of well known, bordering on, you know, that the F word, famous
in this genre.
Sure.
Walk into a mortgage summit with 10,000 people and you're just another mortgage broker.
Yeah, and if you are famous, it's because you got indicted and you got away with it. Right? And people like wanted to take pictures with you. That still wigs me out, man. It's like, hey, if you're a bro, let's do this.
That's why I shave my nipples now.
Okay.
Because for the pic, I usually get a nipple.
Of course, you got to. Yeah.
Drew's like, damn it.
You got to you have to exceed expectations, right?
Yeah.
And that's always still kind of weird to me, or like I'll go through Instagram and I'll go, oh, well, that dude likes what I like, and he's got good photography, and that's kind of interesting. I'll follow, and then you get the message like, hey, oh my god, thank you for following someone little old like me. I'm like, dudes,
just cleaned up my dog poop.
Yeah, I'm a 49-year-old dude with 2 bad knees, man. Yeah, I can pull the trigger fast, but come on, man. You know what I mean? So it's still very, very interesting. The other interesting is those guys that actually believe their height on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, but you know who I am? I'm famous.
Yeah.
No.
We always invite people to classes wherever we go.
Yeah.
And there's guys that have showed up and, okay, I see you've got 500,000 Facebook, Instagram, YouTube followers, subscriber friends. You're a weird person. Like, you shouldn't have guns.
Yeah.
You should, like, people don't know you.
Yeah.
And that, like, that's one end of it. Or these guys walk up and they just think they're hot shit.
Well, and here, the guys that I love are the ones that technically could be hot shit, and they're not. Love those guys. Two great examples of that. Jared, who owns Tier 1 Concealment.
Oh, yeah. Damn, that guy can shoot.
Dude.
Your second black belt patch winner.
Yeah. But one of the funniest, nicest guys I've ever met.
Business owner, makes holsters.
Right.
The first video I ever saw somebody sent me where he's got the water drops dripping. Did you ever see that one? Just like that, just dripping.
Oh, that's what you meant. That dude shoots water drops or something.
Yeah, man, he shoots raindrops. Like that water just fell out of my bottle onto my pants. And I was like, I peed myself. The camera angle is like where my hand is, and he's back like 7 yards away.
Yeah.
And the drops are falling. And he goes, and you see the bullet in slow-mo come in and break the water droplet. He shoots a falling water droplet. And I message him, I'm like, how many times did that take? And he's like, I don't know, 3 or 4 or something. I'm like...
Even that, just the setup of that. Just the imagination to set that up. So when you put that on the thing, I was like, is that like some old like Shaolin Kung Fu thing?
No!
I mean, I get it.
He literally shot water droplet.
I mean, at the end of like on my 2-day class, right, I put up together a mock stage that replicates about 95% of the skills learned in the previous time.
Yeah.
Just to put them under some stress. There's a prize to it. There's the shot timer and everything. And I've got no problem saying that he burned the down. Yeah. Right? And I go to him, I go like, look, dude, I know you don't compete, and I know you're busy and everything. You should just give it a whirl for like, I said this, for about 3 to 4 months, get your GM card and just stop. So, and then, talk some shit and keep on trucking. He's like, yeah, I don't want to get all the rigs. I go, no, bro. Just go ahead and do it from concealment. Yeah. Right? Because if you shoot an entire stage like you just did in that time and got one Charlie, nobody cares about major hit factor if you're shooting all alphas. You know what I mean? He's like, maybe I'll give that a try. So him, and I hope I'm not putting him on the spot, but Justin Fox, and just not because I'm sponsored by those guys, but Justin Fox from Victos.
I never met him.
Awesome guy. Yeah. The thing that a lot of people don't know about Victos, they came out of the blue, blah, 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 blah. They've been making rugged apparel for decades because they also own Icon Racing and Thor Racing, right? Amongst some other businesses they have. And if anything, Justin has every reason to be like that rich dick, and he's not. He is one of the most gracious individuals. Every time I talk to him, hey man, what can I do to help you? Right? And it's almost like, hey, you've got no reason to be a good guy. Right? And you are. And that's
Jared
awesome.
Said nice things about him.
Oh yeah. Jared's another one, man.
Yeah.
People don't know that about Jared. You know that about Jared, right? Everyone sees the videos, especially like yours, right? Or the interviews that he's done on different podcasts. And, he comes off as that uber serious guy, and this is uber serious topic. But the minute you kind of get him out of that, he is one of, and dare I say, funnier than me. No, that's not true.
He's pretty funny.
But he's very funny.
He'll sit, when he comes here, he'll sit and French kiss my dog like you did.
Yeah. 100%, man. Mm-hmm. But dude, like at Shooter Symposium, oh my God. Dude, he, for about 2-3 hours, while Dan Brokos is still on the range doing his low-light urban gunfighter thing, he was impersonating Dan. Oh my God.
That's funny.
It was hilarious. Even the next morning, we're at the airport waiting for our flights, right? Having beers and breakfast burritos that were way too expensive. And the dude's got me rolling, at 9 o'clock in the morning.
He's funny.
He's good dude. Good people, man. And that's the type of person I'm talking about. Him, Dan Brokos, would have never met them if it wasn't for this industry, and they are the heights of humanity.
Yeah, I've actually wrote on this before. Just I sometimes like write down thoughts, and I have wrote on what we're talking about, and I assume my friend Z and I don't think you've met Z.
I've talked to Z. I've talked to Z a couple times. Yep.
He and I talk about this all the time, and I think like if you're attracted to all these things, like self-protection, physical training like bags and martial arts, shooting guns. You were talking earlier about fitness and nutrition stuff. That's like in a sense a certain kind of person, but then when that person will go submit themselves to an instructor or to a teacher, now you've got some level of humbleness and openness that doesn't exist in most of mankind. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Because most men are like, I'm gonna go talk to some guy about doing the splits or what. We shot a podcast down here with a friend of ours. He's a chiropractor and a triathlete and a jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah.
We went through a core, basically yoga workout on the mat. Mm-hmm. Him and my sister and I, and filmed it. And like, hey, you want to come over and do yoga and we'll film it? Most guys would be like, shut up, weirdo.
Yeah. Right, yeah. And you're right, those guys, for example, here's a, so I have my podcast, right? And you probably know, I had Z on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had Z on there, right? And the interesting thing is like two men that have never met, he and Paul Sharp, never met, right? Similar only in the fact that they are both jiu-jitsu black belts. But, having lived as long as I have, experiences, meeting awesome people, talking to a lot of awesome people, it kind of takes a lot for me to get goosebumps. But these two individuals who've never met each other but are similar in their character, talking to them gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, Z's Paul as well. They're both very special people, too.
Indeed. Yep. Indeed. And that vulnerability in saying, like, look, man, I ain't no saint, but I try to learn from my mistakes, and I'm trying to make people better. And what is more important than life?
Nothing.
What is nothing? Yeah. Nothing.
I think that's an interesting thing. I think some people that don't want to talk about or think about the things that we're saying, they either give themselves to work, give themselves to a religious figure, which there's nothing wrong with, except there is still like a component of self-growth to like. I have an uncle of mine who was a mentor, and as a young man, I said to him, I was probably 20-something, struggling to pay the bills, and I worked with him at carpentry, and I'm like, I can't wait till I'm your age. He lived in a big, beautiful home that I helped him build as a young man, and he's like, why? And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, you got it all sorted, man. You got a nice vehicle, you got all the tools you want, you got this big house, you and my aunt go on vacations. He's like, dude, I don't know shit. And he was in his like late 40s, and he goes, I will die not knowing shit. And I was like heartbroken, like, what? Like, one, I thought you got it all sorted out, but two, like, I got nothing to look forward to now.
Exactly.
And he clarified what he meant after that in dumb words for 21-year-olds me to figure out, but I just assumed, like, yeah, my grown-ups, man, they got it all figured.
That's funny, man. I was having a conversation with a buddy too, and he said something very similar to me. He was probably about 20 years older than me, and we were talking about it. And I went, "Are you telling me there at no point in time there's a cruise control button? Are you? Because I'm working toward that cruise control button, man. And he goes, bro, here's the thing I've learned, man. There have been points in my life where I thought I hit that cruise control button, and it sucks. It sucks, you know? So keep on going, you know, because you start going through that when you hit your goal. And you go through a bit of depression.
You do.
Especially if you don't have the next goal to get to, you know? And for those people that don't have goals or have never experienced that depression and the excitement to hit another one, man, that's a depressing existence.
Interesting. I'm going to comment on that.
Yeah.
One, there's a lot. If you guys are interested, Google what he just said. There's like articles, books about like Olympic athletes reaching goals and then like turning into drunks because they don't know what to do with themselves.
100%.
Yeah.
100%, man. Like just like your classic athlete, whether they get out of high school or college or pro sports. Next thing you know, you're walking. I'm like, oh my God, look at that fat ass. Mm-hmm. I've gone through that after high school sports. You know, and it's depressing.
The focus is taken away.
Yeah, and even now, you know, it's like. Guess what happens on the weekends? My classes. Guess what also happens on the weekends? Matches, right? The last match I went to was here at Alpha because I was teaching a Friday, Saturday class and they happened to 1-1 on Thursday night. That's the only match I've done this year, you know? And that shit's depressing, you know? And I'm like, oh, my skill is degrading here and blah, blah, blah. What can I find to augment that outside of a match environment? It's hard. It's hard. But on the other hand, finding a way to do that without losing that skill is kind of exciting too. Yeah. You know, so you got to get better, man. Just got to get better.
So that was the next point of that I was going to comment on. Does every human have that same drive? Does the guy that works the 9 to 5 for 40 years and punches the clock and comes home and just does what you or I would consider to be mundane, like? Not everybody has that innate desire, because you or I would feel depressed if like you're no longer going to be self-employed, you're going to go get a job at XYZ factory, and you're going to be a middle-level manager, you're going to make a good living,
right?
You're going to have a 401k, it's going to be great, you're going to be home every night by 6:15 for Jeopardy or whatever.
Yeah. But think about it, you know, because I've thought about that too. Everybody has something they're trying to get better at. Just because we think that's not something that is worthy of focus on doesn't mean they're not trying. For example, some people are trying to really, really be the fattest person on the face of the earth, and they are good at eating. Think about that, right? You know, we see that mundane guy, that assistant bank manager who wears the same clothes every day, different colors, blah, blah, blah. But that dude gets online, or he hooks up with his friends, and that dude is the dungeon master, or whatever they call it in Dungeons and Dragons, you know what I mean? Some people, like, I had a buddy of mine who was like, that dude, all he wants to be, yes, he is a slovenly, you know, 1986 Honda Civic driving, you think he's worth nothing? Go look at his kids.
Right.
His kids have the best clothes and the best backpack, and he just wants to be the best father. Maybe at the detriment of his own appearance, right? But I really think that everybody wants to get better at something, but just because we can't see it, just because we don't think it's of value, right? We may not see that.
I agree. What I'm saying is not everybody wants to chase as hard as you or I do.
I agree with that. Yeah. I would agree with that.
Like my wife is a very successful businesswoman that reports to the same office for 20 years and goes on an occasional business trip. But she's got the good 401k and all the benefits, and I appreciate that. And part of the reason we're able to live where we live. But what I do would cause her total anxiety if I said you have to do what I do. I mean, she'd be like, no.
How long has she worked for that company?
20 years.
20 years. Yeah. She would probably kick the crap out of you and I in consistency, right? Because you and I are like, okay, bam, 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 bam.
I'm gonna be an astronaut.
How many? Exactly. How many times have you went like, man, I wish I was more consistent on stuff, and she's like, check it out, rookie. This is how you do it. And we're like, oh, that's awesome. I want to learn. No. And we're out,
I think when I decide to do something, I'm pretty good at doing it. If I like come up with a plan, I follow through on it. I don't like just bounce about. But, I've got like a shelf life on things.
Right.
And I used to get down on myself. And this is kind of where I was taking this. I used to get down on myself like, well, why aren't you like her? Not as a younger man. I haven't thought about it in a negative light, but my uncle that did the same job for 30 years and was able to have the nice things, well, I'm not like him. I don't have to be like him.
Right.
It's okay. Like, I'm not living in a dumpster and eating out of the dumpster, so it's okay to want to try new things and do new things. And
100%, but just sometimes it's just the way people are wired.
Yeah.
Right. Your wife sounds to be much like Bev, my wife, in that, for example, if I came to you, I go, hey, Mickey, I got this project. This thing's going to set the world on fire. Let's do it.
We'd be sitting here till like 2 in the morning.
Right, exactly. Just knocking. I was like, oh my God, feeling the rush the whole time.
Yeah.
Our wives would be like, whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
Here's the schedule. This is not on the schedule.
Why don't you believe in me?
That's right. It's like, like I at the place where the business is now, I could not do this without Bev's help.
Me either.
I absolutely could not do this.
Your wife helps me a lot.
That's awesome, man. She's a giver. And she'll go, like, I'll be up and she's like, oh my God, I answered 15 emails for you today. I can't get to anything else. I'm like, well, I answered 15 emails the other day. They were just between the hours of 9 and 11 p.m. She's like, no, you got to answer them now. Right? So you can't, you can like, and I'm like, I don't get that. I'm doing something else right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
women like that checklist, knock it off.
Yeah, and it's not because like, oh my God, this is something new, I got to take care of it now, right? Like the project you and I would be working on until 3 a.m. It's just that it's like, no, I answer emails because that's the plan.
Yeah.
And I answer them when they come in.
Yeah.
Right? Where you and I are like, hey, bro, sorry, I was on the range all day.
Yeah.
That's what you want to be doing with me. Would you get pissed off if I was answering emails on the range?
Nope, I get it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, they're just kind of built differently with that consistency, where we may not be.
I only brought that up because I think sometimes, just as I looked at my uncle and was like, he's got it all figured out, people might see and listen to this and be like, okay, I want Scott saying do this or Mick saying do that. It's okay to have your own thing, but I do think it's important to have some kind of goal.
Right.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Yep.
Whatever it is.
Yep.
That process. That's why I love the training, and it's this kind of the philosophy that we pass on in our courses is just as you're learning to shoot a group or load your gun and unload it correctly or shoot a 2-second bill drill from concealment with your eyes closed. That's my current goal with my eyes closed. Spin me around. No.
Oh, right. That's right. Build that gyroscopic north point.
Is this good?
That's right. And Donovan's like, a little to the left, bro. You're pointing at me now, right?
But that process you can apply to anything. That's the martial skill of it is.
Right.
I believe in myself. I see this thing work. I see that I applied effort to this end, and now I have a result.
Yeah.
Or I didn't, and it didn't work, and I see why.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's the part of it I dig.
Yeah. I'm smiling right now.
Because you want to do the spinny bill drill?
Oh, well, who hasn't done that at least once, right? With an airsoft gun, of course. Well, exactly. Now, it's the interesting way you can frame things, right? Like, most people's introduction to the Japanese tea ceremony was from the movie The Last Samurai, where he's explaining it, the perfection of everything, even to something so as non-consequential as drinking tea. And he goes like, perfection in everything and understanding how and why and trying to replicate all that, right? And I've explained that to friends, of why, that martial samurai path has been so appealing to me, right? But then on the flip side, take it to where Bev asks me why I don't care about making my bed right? Because my whole thing is I'm going to sleep in it anyway, right? And then she'll try to appeal to me. It's like, well, that one, Navy SEAL Admiral
why you should make your bed
every single day. And I'm like, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, that's his brain.
That's his brain, and Bev trying to appeal to something that appeals to me and kind of do all that. So here's the thing, right? And getting back to what we said, that's why the way, right, doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's a way. Like I love going to other people's classes, even if they feel that their skill set is not greater, better, or whatever than mine. Man, everybody has a different way of saying things that resonates with them, that may resonate with another person that takes your class. And as an instructor, teacher, whatever, the communication part of things and finding those extra words that resonate with people, man, that's the journey, man. That's awesome stuff.
Yeah. I dig that part of it too. Talking about my mind just went blank. You're talking about being in other classes. What'd you say right before that? It was meaningful. What I was
a way versus the way.
Oh, just like you were talking about like the making the bed. I have it for after I saw that, and there was a great speech that Admiral gave. I started to pay attention to different cliches like that,
right? And
for like a year, like you can tell a lot about a man by his desk or his office. It's a mirror into his soul. And I mean, you hear these things.
What my desk says? It says I'm busy as shit.
Right. and people have wrote books about that. If your desk is a mess, so is your sales folder, so's your life.
Yeah.
No, man, I know some guys with immaculate desks and they don't sell shit.
Right.
And I know dudes with messy desks that are millionaires that are just killing it and it's not like I'm investing all my energy in it. They're just slobs.
Right.
But they know how to close.
Right.
And we get so fixated on these things maybe cleaning the desk. This is where I was going to go with that. Or making your bed is a diversion like singing the song is. I'm going to make this bed because that dude said to do so. And now I feel like I'm doing something and I'm just changing it up a little bit.
Right. And, the old thing of 7 blind men put their hands on an elephant and they get different impressions and stuff like that. The making the bed thing is, while you're making your bed and you are saying, man, I'm accomplishing something today, I'm going, man, I'm making my bed. This is keeping me from accomplishing other important shit.
Yeah.
But who am I to say how you get your day started is better or worse than mine, unless we're applying it to a metric, right? You're taking care of your shit. I'm taking care of my shit. Away. Because the way, you telling me to make my bed every single day, I'm not talking about my wife at this point, but I'm talking about maybe my mom issues, right? I hated it. I could not wait to move out just so I didn't have to make my bed.
Shit on the floors.
Exactly, right? I came home, guess what I had? A bed still, let's go to sleep. So interesting stuff there.
I kept my first apartment immaculate.
Yeah.
I didn't want anybody to come over and think I was a pig. I had a roommate. It was the only time in my life I had a roommate other than my wife. I don't want to say his name. His name was Skip. He was 15 years older than me. I was 17. I was 18.
Yeah.
And he was 30 something.
That's like a novelty shirt. His name was Skip.
This is when long distance and stuff is still a thing.
Yeah.
We get our first phone bill for $480 because he's on the phone with Sri Lanka and Hawaii at 3 a.m. for hours talking to his Grateful Dead buddies. He ate all my food, paid not one bill, no rent. I kept his piece of junk Iowa stereo and was leave. And that was the end of that. 6 months of Skip. Yeah, and he was
Iowa stereo. AIWA.
Yeah, remember? Yeah. I have a picture somewhere, when you turn it on, all the colors and stuff, it bounces up and down. I have a picture somewhere, an old real picture of him vomiting down the hallway after drinking a whole bottle of Goldschlager.
Oh.
Yeah. Bratwurst and Goldschlager was not a good mix.
Oh,
guzzled
man.
and vomited down the hallway.
That's projectile vomit, literally gross. Missiles coming out.
Him looking at me crying, don't yell at me.
I can't breathe.
I'll clean it up. Yeah. Just smearing bratwurst and puke into the carpet.
Help me. Help me. Shut up, I'm fixing my bed.
Exactly. How we doing on time, Drew?
We are at an hour and 2 minutes.
Oh, cool.
There you go.
I know what I was going to ask you.
Okay.
So if somebody comes to a modern samurai project class. You got the inside the waistband and the red dot, two different things. What are they going to get from you that they're not going to get from somebody else? What's your special special sauce?
Yeah. They will learn that a couple of things, right? A, the body works the way the body works, right? The laws of physics and kinesiology do not change from one physical activity to another physical activity. Unfortunately, people think when they pick up a gun, all that shit changes.
Sure.
And, you would never stand sideways with one arm straight and one arm bent and blah, 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 blah in any other sport except for when your uncle who used to be in the Marines, exactly. And even that is a way, right? Yeah. I will give you some examples, some physical examples and exercises to prove it to you, right? That the body works the way the body works. And then we're going to find your level of perfection, knowing that your area of perfection, your point of perfection is not the same as mine, right? But it's that mode of self-discovery of breaking everything down to the minutia and then building it back up. And now, not only do you know how, you specifically know why. And the next time you take that methodology and apply it to something that we never talked about, the process is the same, and then you can learn on your own, which is really the path of getting better. And then the next level is, okay, I've gone through my exercises. I still can't figure this shit out. Let me go find someone else who I know can do it, and then go train, right? They will learn, I think, that path in my classes. And it doesn't matter if it's AIWB or Red Dot or whatever, or if you happen to come to, my school and roll, with me and I'm helping you out. It's the same path. It's the same path.
I like it.
Yeah.
If the people listening, the millions of people in our audience.
Yeah. I hope someday to be as great as you, my friend.
That was a joke. I hope that was sarcasm.
Mine
that
wasn't.
was sarcasm.
Mine wasn't.
That was sarcasm. It was fun. But if the hundreds of thousands, if not potentially millions, actually, I do every time I do this. Side note, think about, this stuff. Unless we ever delete it from the internet, like off YouTube, and people copy it, is there somebody 100 years from now could hear our voice?
100%.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, man.
I mean, stupid jokes and all. So, yeah, that's not lost on me. The question was, and that's why I say the millions of people, because for all of eternity until the internet crashes, when the Second World War, Civil War happens, and the aliens come down and the whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, whenever that happens and it all collapses and we're living in the caves.
That's right. They're coming down. It's like, hey, man, we saw what's happening in Venezuela. You guys are stupid. We're just taking you all out.
If you only had one thing to say to people, if the last thing you were going to say to them was how they would remember you or something that they would take on for the rest of their life, what would you pass on to people?
I just wanted people to get better.
So if the last thing I ever heard from you, it would be, you want me to be better. In what way?
In every way.
So how do I do that though, Scott?
Well, if I'm on my deathbed and you're there, it's probably because you know me, right? Yeah. And I want you to get better by taking a way, right? Maybe it's my way, and personalizing it for yourself. So whatever you decide to get better on, you had a methodology based on a metric to get better. If that's just to be a better person, well, why do you want to be a better person, right? Because of the way that it affects the people around me and my relationships. Okay, have you thought about that, right? Like, it's like the way we started it, the way we almost started this conversation is like, what does better mean?
Yeah.
Right? Take what you want, throw the rest away, but do it based on a metric, right? Well, I want to be better to my friends and the people in my family. Well, what does better mean? Well, I want to stop saying so many offensive jokes. Okay, how you going to do that, man?
Saying something to me right
I
now?
am not. It's just top of mind. Anyway. Right? Well, then let's do that. How are you going to control yourself? Maybe replace those offensive jokes with non-offensive jokes. I personally like your offensive jokes, so you're not offending me.
I feel like he's really getting serious right now.
Or, I want to be a better jiu-jitsu guy. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Right? Classic, my professor always says, right, is I had this guy, and then literally in the middle of the roll, he stops, he goes, Tony. Tony Passos is the name of my professor. He's like, I just had this epiphany. He's like, yeah, man, what's going on? I just realized the more I train, the better I get.
Ooh, genius.
But to him, that was an epiphany. You know what I mean? So if people look at my body of work, right, at the end of the day, if I could at least remind them of one thing, is that I just want you to get better, but have a plan to do so.
I like it. The act of getting better in any way, shape, or form, I think can give people tools to improve all aspects of their life. I say can though, because I was talking with somebody recently about kind of this sports psychology, and oftentimes folks will say, like, if you can become a super athlete or super shooter, you can become anything else. But there's a lot of people I know that are like, I know some guys that are like world-class shooters that are pieces of shit husbands and fathers.
Right.
Or top-notch brokers, and they are piece of shit neighbors or whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
or just, going back and learning. So I'll give Bill Blowers a shout out. I took Jim Dexter and I took his TAC pistol class, right? And I do not enjoy single hand shooting, right? Strong or weak. I don't enjoy.
You don't find it fun.
I don't. Yeah. And while I could see where it could be practical, the likelihood of it being practical for me just doesn't stick. Not saying it's not. Just doesn't stick with me, right? So, but like in my red dot classes, I go over it because the dot can track differently because you got nothing against the path of least resistance for recoil, right? So I go over it. Well, Bill has a good sized block on it, right? And what he professes is that, people go from here, if you're in an athletic stance, right-handed, left foot forward, body works like an X, and then you go to strong hand only, and they tell you to switch feet to get more meat on it. He's like, it's bullshit. You're not going to do that in a fight.
It's total bullshit from that context, but from a performance standpoint or pure marksmanship, it's 100.
And that's the way I always took it, right? But then you got guys like Douglas Koenig, right? World champion shooter, first person to ever score a 100 in the Bianchi Cup, right? And he says the same thing Bill says. But I'm like, I got 100 people saying this. I got one guy saying this. Now I got two guys saying this. But you know what? I'm in his class. I'm going to give it a shot. And I will tell you, my draws to multiple shot, just here, without changing my feet, were unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Now, was that a process of where I've already found my own perfection from reps and reps and reps between competition and training and all this other stuff to where switching my feet doesn't matter anymore? I don't know, man. But if I didn't have an open mind and want to get better from a very competent shooter, right? I may have lost that epiphany.
Yeah.
So now in my classes, like the next day in my classes, I'm going to go, look, guys, this is the classic way of doing it for a performance base, but I want you to try not switching your feet. Let's see what happens, right? Because if you can do it without switching your feet, say you're going from a draw, or saying you're just going from this position, hand shot, right? Not switching your feet is always going to be sooner than switching your feet.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. Give it a try. Give it a try.
That's actually how we teach it. Show you the best mechanical base behind it.
Right.
And then I demo it where I actually squat on one leg and shoot.
Sure.
Dump a mag and
right.
see
which is how I do the rest of my things. I just don't enjoy.
Yeah. I was shooting one-handed today, and you're right. I don't like it either.
It's just
it's less. Keith Martoni.
Yeah.
One hand, two hand, no hands. He's great.
Yeah. But I mean, still, freestyle is two-hand is
Yeah,
always,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
That was the other thing. Like, you need to be just as good single-handed as you are with both hands. All that means is that your both hands mean you suck.
Not that awesome.
You suck, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like saying your car with half the horsepower should go just as fast.
Yeah, you should run just as fast with one shoe as when you have two. No, I mean, I guess it's
true.
Yeah,
that's true.
So
it is it's just so you guys know who Bill is. Look him up. Bill's a big city SWAT cop, career police officer, and what's his training company called?
Tap Rack Tactical.
Tap Rack Tactical.
Which, yeah, so he actually retired last year or something like that. Regional team in Washington. And I love Bill, man, because he loves to set people off kilter. You know, the name of his company started off as Tap Rack Tactical, but when he teaches malfunctions, he says, stop tapping. Unless it's the first round and the magazine just dropped out, stop tapping. You know, but someone who has done the work for many, many years. Bill is another guy who is one of the most hilarious people on the face of the earth, right? To where it's like, man, even if you didn't learn anything, would it be worth going to his class? Yeah, because he's funny.
Off, huh?
Oh my God. He was talking about, I'll just share this now, whether it makes the video or not. He was talking about shooting on the move, right? And you know, you have some guys super athletic, man. When they go, they're trucking, and they're hitting the X ring, you know, whatever. It's like I move kind of slowly. It's because it's how I know I can shoot accurately when I'm shooting on the move. I don't make any, you know, presumptions that I am like a supple leopard when I'm going, right? Because I was asking my one buddy, right, and he says like they were out there, right, and they come in. It was, you know, they were doing whatever. His teammate had to burn someone down shooting his rifle on the move. So they debriefed and they were talking about it, right? And he's like, "Oh man, that was you know, that was just a perfect execution." But he starts going about like, you know, how he's like this Greek god with a rifle in his hand, moving perfectly, blah blah blah. And he's like, "That's not what I saw, bro. I saw you shooting on the move the way you walk, which is because you're from Philly and you walk like this." Right? And that's how you were moving with your rifle. Like that, you know?
Sure.
And him relaying that was kind of it made you understand that it doesn't matter what you look like as long as you're getting the job done and you get the hits and you live up to that metric, which was they won that day. They won that day.
Nobody died.
Yeah. So you know, again, great class. Great class, and I came away with a lot of stuff from that. You know, now it's tack pistol, right? But I would tell people out there that even if you are not into the, you know, tactical Timmy side of the house and you're about performance, go to his class. You'll be pressed on both sides of it. You know.
Good.
So yeah, 100%, man.
How do people find you?
So just Google Modern Samurai Project, except for one weird dude in Okinawa who dances with tight clothes.
Awesome.
Yeah. That may or may not be me. Anyway, now Modern Samurai Project, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all that. ModernSamuraiProject.com for the classes. Hit the link. It'll take you to different places, man. And I'm super approachable. If you email me, Bev will return. No, I'm kidding. If you email me, one of us will return your email. If you want to call me. I hate typing, so I actually respond to phone calls and voicemails quicker. Yeah, just come on. Let's train together. Let's talk. Let's all get better, and we'll go from there.
I dig it, man. We started a tradition down here. I printed this, and guys that come here will sign it anywhere you want.
Awesome, man.
Put the date on there. What's today's date? The 19th, 20th. Yeah, sign it anywhere you want. Throw the date on there. Actually, I printed that, and Donovan and Z were both like, have people sign your table when they come in. I'm like, I don't want to sign my table. They can sign that piece of art. See, this is funny that you're doing this, and I'll tell you why in a second.
Why is that?
So look at most of the signatures on there, and now I made I was saying most of these guys, you know, like this is a doctor, that's a state's attorney, little tiny thing, and I go, some guy's going to come down here and write something that says, that's me. Because I had to come up here and draw like a big dick or something, and you did it too.
Hell yeah.
You did it.
You want to put the date on there? What is
Yeah,
today?
yeah.
5/20.
Right in there. Yeah. That's cool. I appreciate it.
Hell yeah, dude. That's awesome, man.
While you guys are watching him finish that, or now he's done, appreciate you taking the time. Go check his stuff out. Follow him on the social media channels. If you see him out and about, jump in a class and ask him to take a picture. He likes that. It makes him feel like his life is full. We appreciate you. If you haven't yet subscribed to whatever platform you're viewing or listening to this on, if you're just listening, I just showed my breasts. So maybe you should check it out on YouTube.
Talk about supple.
We appreciate it, and we'd appreciate it even more if you subscribe. Pass it on to your friends and loved ones if you feel it was helpful. If not, well, to hell with you then.
Jesus Christ, keep on trucking.
Be nice, don't be a dickhead. Love you. Visit our website, carrytrainer.com, for information about classes held throughout the U.S., Carry Trainer apparel, and upcoming projects. You can also email us at training@carrytrainer.com for information about setting up your own private course or speaking engagement. Training@carrytrainer.com or carrytrainer.com.